You have every right to know what your government is doing, and they have no right to know what you are doing. That's not a radical statement. That's the basic architecture of a free society. Public servants are called public servants because they serve the public, and service implies transparency, accountability, and the consent of the governed. Private citizens are called private citizens because our lives, our communications, our movements, our beliefs, and our associations are not state property. They belong to us. But somewhere along the way, that relationship got inverted. The state hides behind secrecy. Classified files, redacted documents, closed-door meetings, warrantless surveillance programs the intelligence agencies refuse to acknowledge even exist. They invoke national security as a blanket permission slip to operate beyond the reach of the law, beyond the scrutiny of Congress, beyond the knowledge of the people who are paying for it all with our taxes and our trust. And at the same time, the same state demands total, invasive visibility into your life. Your finances, your phone calls, your texts, your location data, your internet searches, your social media, your Face ID, your license plate every time you drive past a camera, your face every time you walk through an airport, a subway station, a shopping mall, a public square, your purchases, your associations, your political beliefs, your private conversations, your medical records, even your genetic code. I have trouble finding words to describe how viscerally invasive this whole machine is. They want to know everything about you, and they want you to know nothing about them. That is not freedom, nor is it constitutional government. That is the very definition of tyranny. A society where the rulers live in total privacy, while the population lives under total surveillance, is not a democracy or even a constitutional republic. It is a surveillance state with an election cycle. And we need both real elections and serious public pressure to cure a broken relationship between the state and the citizen when the state has already decided that the citizen cannot be trusted with the truth. The Fourth Amendment was written precisely to prevent this travesty. It does not say that the government can search you whenever it feels vaguely concerned or creepily curious. It says that you have the right to be secure in your person, your house, your papers, and your effects against unreasonable searches and seizures, and that no warrant for search or seizure shall issue without 1. Probable cause, 2. Supported by oath or affirmation from a specific individual, named, and 3. Particularly and exactly describing the place to be searched and the things to be seized. That's not archaic language. That is a reasoned, structured, and extremely deliberate constraint on power that the founders and framers knew we needed to have for our own protection. But for decades now, we have allowed the government to eat away at that constraint, one exception at a time. The USA Patriot Act, the FISA Courts, Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, the USA Freedom Act, quote-unquote, warrantless geofenced surveillance, bulk data collection, backdoor searches, and 1,000 other legal fictions designed to do what the Fourth Amendment explicitly forbids. They tell us it is only metadata. Only who you called, not what you said. Only where you went, not what you did. Only the patterns, not the content. When you have enough metadata, you don't need the content. If I know every person you've spoken to, every place you've been, every website you've visited, every purchase you've made, every moment you've been awake or asleep, I know you. And if I have derived that data through trackers you didn't know were there, cameras in public spaces you cannot avoid, and terms of service that are designed to ensure you never read them, then I have not met any constitutional standard to acquire that knowledge. We need to reverse the inversion. We need a government that operates in the light, whose surveillance powers are narrow, specific, warranted, and subject to adversarial review. We need a government that does not get to hide its mistakes behind classification stamps, while demanding that citizens expose every corner of our lives to algorithmic suspicion. We need a government that remembers who works for whom. Because here's the truth that no intelligence agency wants to admit. You are not safer because they read your texts. You are not safer because they track your car. You are not safer because they vacuum up every communication on the planet and store it in a data center in Utah, and increasingly everywhere. You are just more convenient to investigate and more vulnerable to blackmail and coercion. And in a system that prioritizes convenience, absolute arbitrary compliance, and coerced consent over constitutional constraint, everyone becomes a suspect eventually. A constitutional government does not rule in secrecy. A free society does not require stripping away everyone's privacy to function. And the relationship between the state and the citizen is not supposed to be adversarial, but when the state refuses to be transparent, it chooses to make itself the adversary of a free people. My name is Melissa Chowdhury. I'm a pro se federal litigator who's fought the weaponized U.S. government across 4 different jurisdictions and won. That victory ensured an honorable, decorated, disabled American military veteran was freed from illegal ICE detention after the powerful had decided due process did not apply to him. I know what happens when the state operates in the dark. And I'm running for Congress in Washington's 9th District because the people deserve a representative who will demand sunlight on every corner of government power and who will fight to keep the government's hands off the private lives of private citizens. Care, courage, the Constitution. Vote Melissa for Congress.